had an NFL coach that told me, when I think of you coming down the tunnel, you don't appear intimidating enough to be a starting running back in the NFL.
Wow.
Kirkland just gave it to me. And I think the ball went way over here to the left.
Did you fumble?
My feet went up in the air or something like that. It was one of those plays where you get hit so hard where the whole entire stadium is like, you've got a background in drumming as a drummer. I don't know, man. Me trying to sing when I was young, you playing the drums. Look, we got some chemistry here.
Okay, this is good. We're starting a band. We just started a band, everyone. It's called the Home Stretch.
Give me the keys to the kingdom, 'cause I came, I saw, I conquered it all.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Home Stretch, presented by Bet365. I'm one of your hosts, Mark, alongside Priest Holmes. How you doing, Priest?
I'm doing pretty good, Mark. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you again. How are we feeling today?
I think I feel pretty good. You know, I'm back in Kansas City, having a great time, and just like my experience just coming back was kind of phenomenal.
Yeah,
I have to tell you why.
Yeah, I will get into that in a little bit because this is like a home away from home. I mean, this is where you did your job. This is where you had great success. So there's automatically going to be special feelings tied to that. So, yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. But in this show in particular, I want to let everyone know it's going to be a little bit of a one-on-one here with Priest and I. We're not going to do a guest on this episode because this is our opportunity to peel that curtain a little further back than we did before, find out some more nooks and crannies, some more stories from you, and also pick your brain on a few things that I'm curious about. So I hope that's cool with you. That's what we're going to do today. All right, let's do it. All right, so, you know, there's been a lot said about you off the field, on the field, from players, from yourself. There is a narrative that has existed. So I want to talk about what a narrative is from a player's perspective and how much that goes into your daily routine or your life as a player and the psychology of all of that. Or do you just block all that stuff out? Like, what is narrative to you as a player?
Narrative of a player. So what age are we talking? When I was young, the young Priest? Is it the older Priest?
Let's start right in the middle. Let's start when you become an undrafted free agent into the National Football League. Okay, because that's a huge, massive turn. You're now a pro. So what is the narrative in that moment?
So let me see the narrative in that moment. There was one that was building, and I'm looking down at my left knee. I had a left ACL tear in 1995, right before that 96 season. Mm-hmm. And so it was one of those things where I was on this upswing coming out of one of the games that we had played that particular earlier season, and then I have a knee injury. Right. And so it's almost as if the stock just tumbled. It just fell. And now I'm preparing for the draft, you know, a year and a half later. And it's about confidence in the left knee. It's about what type of running style am I going to have coming off of a knee injury? Is the knee stable? And so a lot of those questions was answered. I did a lot of rehab. The surgery was successful. We did that in Austin, Texas. And so at St. Andrew's Hospital. So for me, I think the number one thing was just the narrative is if he is the knee steady? Is it firm? Is he going to be able to bounce back? And I think there was a narrative to where there would be some doubt. Is it going to be inconsistent in his running style? What type of runner is he going to be? But for me, the narrative has always been kind of that bounce back capability, you know, and it's one of those things where I've had setbacks, I've gone through barriers, and then at the end of the day, I'm always bouncing back, you know?
Sure. Well, you bounce back in a big way. And that's a very peculiar moment because you're coming off a knee injury and you're trying to get drafted, right? So it's not like there was an opportunity for you to get back on the field and show everybody that knee was okay.
Well, there was a small time, which was that my very last season, which I had an opportunity. So Ricky Williams that came in, and he was a freshman. We also had Sean Mitchell. He was a junior transfer from Blinn. So these two guys came in, and they obviously had no problems with like, okay, Priest is down. Let us step in and put that running game back where it should be at the University of Texas. And so the two of those guys did. They nearly rushed for 1,000 yards each. I think Ricky had right under 1,000 yards, and Sean had over 1,000 yards that season. And I'm rehabbing my knee, and so coming back from my senior year. And it's three of us in the backfield. They're tossing up. How are you going to be able to, Bucky Gobbold is our running back coach at that time at the University of Texas. How are we going to get the three of these guys to get on the field at the same time? Priest is the senior. Sean is the senior. We want to give those guys some looks. We want to make sure that we highlight those individuals. And somehow they made it happen. And then it was time for me to get prepared for the draft. And so obviously I went undrafted. And so, of course, you can just imagine the devastation that, young people, young men, young athletes feel when their number isn't called. But, on the back end, there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes. I was getting those calls. Jack Mueller, of all guys, a Boston guy, had the accent and everything. He was my agent at that time.
You have an impression?
Yeah, I don't have a good Boston accent. I don't have a good Boston accent, but definitely Jack Mueller is one of those guys, if you think about it, real thick accent, you hear it when he talks with his hands as well. Okay. But he was my first agent, and we got together, and he would give me calls and say, you've got some interest by the Cowboys, the Washington Redskins, the Ravens. They're showing some interest. All three of these teams were looking at me, but saying, we're not sure about the knee. He got back on the field. He had over, I think, 10 or 12 touchdowns my senior year. Because I had that knack for getting into the end zone because there was only limited amount of carries that I was going to get my senior year. So with that taken, anytime we were in the red zone, I said, Ricky, if you don't score, you might as well don't think about coming back in because I'm going to cross that goal line. So it was just one of those situations in terms of like how I looked at the game and kind of those narratives that were built on me.
Okay. Well, let's continue with the narrative conversation, but let's do it from your perspective. Okay. So you're Priest Holmes, current time right now. When you reflect back onto young Priest Holmes, how would you describe that Priest Holmes versus how you felt about yourself at the time? Do you think of yourself differently? Do you were you pretty self-aware at a young age, or did it take until you were older to kind of realize like how you were going about your business?
Let's see, self-awareness. I think, of course, I was very self-aware in terms of my limits and the things that I think that I could do. I would say one of that kind of comes from having a military background. One of the things that my stepfather and my mom made sure that I learned how to do was clean baseboards. It was one of those, It wasn't even a punishment. It was just part of like daily chores or weekly chores,
Sure.
So I knew before on a Saturday, before I was going to be able to go outside and, whether it was throw up tackle or go ride bikes, it was one of those things that I know I had to clean the baseboards. I mean, I'm thinking in my neighborhood in San Antonio, Texas, I'm like, there's no other kid on this block that's having to clean the baseboards before they go outside, cutting the lawn, emptying the trash. Those are all normal, right? When it came to cleaning baseboards, that was one of the chores that I had. So I think that self-awareness, that discipline, it kind of was built off of that fabric of that military background and raising and that rearing that they showed me. And for me, I think that when I look back of what I really thought about myself was that I learned at an early age that I had the ability to make people miss. And learning that and understanding that opportunity that I had to make people miss, it became kind of like my ace of spade, and it's what I kept in my back pocket. So no matter if it was on the football field, basketball court rather, in the classroom, a spelling test, I just knew.
So you were dodging spelling tests?
I wouldn't dodge it, but I knew how to dodge the barriers. Of like having any type of anxiety or not being self-aware or not being confident that, I could figure it out. Okay. And so that ability to make people miss, it kind of just engulfs a lot of different fabrics of me.
What was do you remember the exact moment you realized you could make people miss? Like it just clicked one day?
Not so much of a click. It was just over time. Okay. And just being young and knowing that there was something just different about me. Whether it was being in the church house and getting caught for going to the store when I should be in service and I walked 2 blocks, to go to to go to the store and get some candy or something to drink, like all y'all do.
What was your excuse to get out? You just got to use the restroom real quick?
I just had the ability to just not
Slither
get caught.
around.
Yeah, not get
Okay.
caught going and get back in time to sit in the back and act like I've been there the whole time.
Okay.
So just had that ability, you know what I mean, just to get in and out of situations, I guess you could say that. So not only make people miss, but really to get in and out. And so how do you take that now being a football player? I got to get in the A gap. I got to get in the B
Yep.
gap, right? I got to get out of there. I got to get to the second level. And so, those things just kind of followed me, and I became very confident in doing that. And you would say probably, when was that moment? I got a funny story.
Okay.
I'm going to share that
Okay.
funny story, but it kind of goes long back to what we were talking about. There was a time when I was young, and it might have been between the age of 8 and 9, and I wanted to sing.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to
Priest-
sing. I
Priest
assumed that
Holmes.
that was going to be my talent,
What kind
and
of
this
singing?
is before.
Like
this is
gospel
before
singing? Like
well,
you
not
wanna-
so much just any type of genre of singing, but
Okay.
just singing, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so how this starts is that I ended up being in the children's choir when I was young, and we had like an Easter program. So all the kids in the church, obviously, we had to participate. I was like, I signed up to participate in it as well. My sister was in the choir. A bunch of my friends were in the choir as well. And so there was one particular night, they take all of the tenors, and then all right, they line us one by one, and now we have to sing our part, right? And so it goes from Mike, Tevin, Billy, James, and now it comes to me. And then the choir director just briefly just says, "Oh, time out." After I'm belting out trying to sing, and he's like, I know what the problem is, right? So he pulls me to the side, and he's like, Bruce, on Sunday for the Easter play, I want you to stand there. I want you to rock left and right, but just make sure nothing comes out your mouth. Just lip sync.
He straight up
Yes.
canceled you.
Yeah,
on
I
the
got
spot.
canceled. I got canceled. So
Wow.
that was like the week leading up to this Easter play, and now we're getting ready to. We're there on Sunday. We're in our robes, and we're getting ready to sing. And I'm freaking pissed that the choir director told me don't let a sound come out.
Go sway over there for a couple.
Don't let a
minutes.
sound come out.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't know if you were familiar with some of the. I'm trying to think of the type of chair it was, but it had like the velvet cushion. It might
Sure.
be red or blue or royal kind of green kind of color, or royal blue.
Okay.
And on the backside, it had the tall wooden back of the chair,
Right,
right?
right.
And it had like carvings in them to where it was like there were little openings, right? And so I get a chance to like stand right there by the chair, and it's kind of like this mic. It's like if you rock to the left, there's like an opening in the chair, right? And if you rock to the other side, there's like the wood panels, right? So it's like peekaboo, you can see me, and then I'm back in, you can't see me, peekaboo, and I'm just rocking back and forth like this, right? And so it's like every time I go here, I just like move my lips, and I come back here and I'm like pissed that I'm not actually singing, right?
brutal.
And so long story short, I get over that, but no one knows that the choir director has told me this. None of my friends, not even my sister knows I've been told this. Not even my parents have been told that I've been told, just don't let anything come out your mouth, right?
Yeah.
And so as I'm rocking back and forth, and then, we get through with the program and the children's choir goes off. And I remember, I think that was the moment, Mark. I really do. That was the moment. That was the moment I decided right there, Mark, that I said, I will never let anyone tell me I can't do something. Because I just went along with what he said. I didn't just say, well, the heck with what he's saying. I'm going to sing anyways, right? Regardless of how I sound, right? I actually just followed script. I just kind of just went back and forth. And every time my mouth came out, I'd open it. Then I'm back behind the chair. And so I decided then, yeah, I'll never let anybody tell me that I can't do anything. So what goes on beyond that is you're not big enough. You're not fast enough. You're not tall enough. I even had a NFL coach. I love to interview him as well. I had an NFL coach that told me, Priest, you're when I think of you coming down the tunnel, you don't appear intimidating enough to be a starting running back in the NFL.
Wow.
I was told this. I was
And you're
told this
already
in
on the team.
I'm
and you're
a
already
professional.
rostered. You're already a
I've already
professional.
rushed for 1,000 yards, Mark.
Wow.
I was the first Raven to rush for 1,000 yards, right? Because The organization moved there in 1996.
Oh,
I came in
remember
97.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis was a big pick that we had the year before that. I come in, Jay Graham, a running back out of Tennessee. I get there, 97, 98, 99. I'm kind of telling everybody the time frame. They can figure out what coach it was. But the coach says, yeah, you're just not intimidating. So it's up to me. I would cut you. And I'm
straight
saying,
to your face.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Did he say it in the tunnel? Like while you
No,
were running
actually.
down the...
So he called everyone. He was the new head coach, and he called everyone actually in to interview, I guess, each individual person that was on the team. And so, yeah, when he got to me, that's what he said. Now, here's a special piece about it.
Okay.
He says, I would cut you, but I can't. And I'm just sitting there just startled like that. I've just been told this, right? And I'm thinking to my mind, I just rushed for 1,000 yards. What are you talking about? And he said, but I can't cut you. And he says, because every vet that I've talked to that has come in my office has said that if you get rid of anyone, do not get rid of Priest.
Man of the people.
Do not. Yeah.
Coaches be damned.
Yeah. So that was a little story that kind of goes back to that moment of getting in and out of situations, having the ability to make people miss. I was able to pull that ace of spade even then. So although he's telling me this, I'm like, but you don't realize what's in my back pocket. Like I've had this ace of spade that I've been running with for years. So regardless of what you say, it really doesn't matter because you probably don't understand my story. You probably didn't realize that when I got to the University of Texas from John Marshall High School, that the coach that recruited me was no longer there. New head coach, John Makovic, doesn't know me, didn't recruit me. And now I'm trying to figure out this running back by committee because we've got some of the top 3 backs in Texas that is going to be at the University of Texas as well. And these guys are all different sizes. They're tall, they're fast, they're big, they're my size. But the only thing that they didn't have was that ace of spade. It keeps coming back to that, Mark.
You are the ace of spade, my friend. You are. You are. Well, I mean, wow, what a story. That's crazy. And all those are all characteristics of a perfect running back, right? That's your job as a running back. You got to dodge, you got to miss, you got to get out of there.
I got this other one, Mark. Let me tell you this.
Yeah, please.
So I'd hate to cut you off, but you talked about all of the elements of a running back, right?
Yes.
So I jump on the podcast. It's called Get Got by Marshawn Lynch and his fullback. Yeah, Marshawn Lynch.
That's right.
Beast mode.
Beast and Priest.
Yes.
I love it.
So I told Marshawn, I said, Marshawn, before you were known as Beast mode, I said, I was Priest the Beast.
That's right.
Right. So he chuckled, he laughed and stuff like that. But we all know his story and what he's done as a professional athlete and just his off-camera antics and the way his personality. I love it. I just recently saw another commercial with him just recently. And just when you see Marshawn, you already know it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
It's going to have a lot of humor to it as
Good
well.
energy. Yes.
But great energy. He comes with it. And this comes from a guy that didn't want to talk to the media.
Okay.
So he kind of reminds me a little bit of Ricky Williams when Ricky had those days where he'd put the helmet on, he'd be in the locker, not wanting to talk to the media. But I think Marshawn was a little bit different. He had a lot to say, and he just waited for the right moment to say it. But we had a chance to talk, and we talked about running backs as well and the ingredients of a running back. And those were some of the things that he talked about was some of the intangibles that you don't just necessarily see when you pick up the paper and you're looking at a scouting report. It's kind of that backstory, the intangibles. You know, how many eyes of attention does the defense do they grab as a running back? Like when that running back is on the field, is that defense looking at that running back to find out what he is going to do? Not so much what the wide receiver is going to do, maybe what the tight end may do, but they definitely got all eyes on that running back. So are you that type of running back that when you're on the field, you grab the defensive coordinator's attention, the stadium's attention, and that front line's attention, and they're all zero in on you?
Did you find out if Marshawn Lynch cleaned baseboards?
I
before he entered?
didn't ask him that question.
right, we'll
I'm
have
sure he
to-
had his challenges, but we got to find out. 'Cause
Yeah, we'll have him on, and
Okay.
we'll find out if he was cleaning baseboards. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers, Priest, $5. You just bet that, and you can get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So sign up, place a bet for $5, and get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only. 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly, and you must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, and Kentucky, as well as Louisiana and select parishes. Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Now, I want to hang on that for a second because again, you talked about how that instilled some sort of drive for you, right? You were the only kid doing that. Did you ever have a moment where you realized someone was bringing some extra sauce to the table and they must have been cleaning baseboards too or doing something similar? And you're like, oh, I've got some competition here. Like, when was that first moment for you?
So competition on the football field, there's always those players that I think I look at that way. But I kind of look at them as rogue players.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much the guy that's just good competitively. He might be a challenge. I usually had guys that just you didn't want to be near them because they would just hurt you. We had a guy that played for the Kansas City Chiefs, Gary Steels.
Okay.
Loved the guy, defensive guy, put his hand in the dirt, came off the edge. But if you just in practice just run by him, he's probably going to just hurt you some kind of way. It's not that he's reckless. It's not like
even
he's
emotionally?
It's
Even
not
just emotionally?
Probably emotionally, but
gonna call you a name when you're
it's
away?
just one of those guys. And I tried to stay clear of those kind of players that were they're very gifted, very talented, very aggressive. Their IQ in terms of just their ability to be an athlete is very high. Now, maybe in their thinking part of it, you know what I mean? They're thinking second, but they're just being an athlete first. And so I've been around a lot of guys like that. But they would just hurt you in practice, man, because they're just coming at a different tempo.
Right.
They're very aggressive. And so you're going up there to block them, which you think is just like, hey, we're in practice and just like we're like 50%, we're max maybe 60% of our speed. These guys got this tempo where they're playing at like hovering about 80%. They've got like this country type strength that even when they go to grab you, you're like, hold on, man, like you're grabbing me too hard. You know what I mean? So I just tried to stay clear of those guys, but I can't really think of any particular guy that was a nemesis, so to speak. I can tell you about a guy that at the end of the day, he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, middle linebacker. I think he came into camp over 300 pounds.
Okay.
And he was a linebacker.
For a linebacker?
Yes.
Wow.
And in order to be 300 pounds and be 5 yards off the ball and get a running start to fill the hole, I think is a little unfair. So I don't know if it was like an actual rule in the NFL, but I believe that if you weigh 300 pounds, you at least got to put your hand in the dirt, start as a defensive lineman, and then take off, right? So for this particular person, I think he came out of camp at 298 just so that he could be back 5 yards off the ball at middle linebacker.
Okay.
Kirkland, middle linebacker, Pittsburgh Steelers, 99. I hope I'm getting the name right.
We
got to get the first name. We got to fact check that. Javon? Levon Kirkland, a 99.
A special gleam just went off in his eye, by the way, Jacob. When you said the name, he's like, oh.
Okay, so playing for the Ravens, you got to face the Steelers 2 times a year.
Right, twice.
At home and at their house. So I knew we were going to have to face him by the time it came 1998 and I started, starting for the Ravens. And he was one particular guy that you have to say, like, do you got your head on a swivel? Yeah, my head was on the swivel for Big 99.
Okay.
Because if he was like low compact, tree trunk legs, arms look like legs, and when you would hit him, you would have to muster everything in your body to hit him. And so there was one of the times, I think it was probably on that Super Bowl run that we had where we were placing the Steelers. It might have been that year. But I remember I ran like a check down, which is you look up, check the linebackers, nobody's coming, no pressure, go 5 yards through the A gap, turn around at 5 yards, put your hands up.
Face the ball.
Right, face the ball, quarterback throws it. I don't know what happened, but the ball kind of just drifted. And it just kept drifting. And I was thinking in my mind, like, I've actually got to jump up and catch this ball, and I don't want to. I want to keep my feet on the ground because I know Levon is right behind me somewhere.
You're gonna get crushed.
So anyways, the ball kind of drifted. I jump up to catch the ball, and I'm like, get your feet on the ground as quickly as possible. I hit the ground, and as I turned, I could see like that Pittsburgh black helmet with the yellow stripe. I wasn't sure if it was the yellow stripe or the sun.
Yeah.
But his black helmet went in front of the sun, and there was like no sun. It was just all black 99. And I mean, Kirkland just gave it to me. And I think the ball went way over here to the left.
Did you fumble?
My feet went up in the air or something like that. It was one of those plays where you get hit so hard where the whole entire stadium is like, and I like jump up really quick, like, no, that didn't hurt. That did not hurt. That did not hurt.
That's the move, right?
But
you got to do that move.
If you get hit that hard, you need to be jumping up like in a tenth of a second.
Running straight off the field.
Go back like to the huddle like nothing happened.
Oh, did you go back to the huddle after that?
I went right back to the huddle. So to this day, he's another person that I'd love to get on camera for him to tell this story because I'm sure he's going to tell it a lot different than the way I have.
Yeah.
But I've seen him at football camps with like youth. And the first thing he tells these kids is, Priest, tell these kids who hit you the hardest in the NFL. And I said, all right, Kirkland, yes, you got one of the better hits of me in your career.
He
but
he
lit me up. And like I said, I mean, this guy was hovering. He might have been at like 275 at this time, but it was, you could look at him and say, you got to be over 300 pounds as big as you are, you know? But he was aggressive. He could run from left to right. The best way for me to attack Levon Kirkland is to get him on the perimeter, get him in space, and force him to sit down. And if I can get him, that big old joker, to sit down, I got him. I can go left, right. I can do a spin move. I can do the Saquon Barkley and jump up backwards, touch my knees to my hands, you know, and do a leapfrog over him. But he's one of those guys that I definitely would have to say, if I had one guy, my nemesis on the field, that I knew, God, man, when he comes through here and he brings it, I really got to bring it. You know, I'm coming in at 208. I played my entire career. I didn't go over 212. 208, like, I want to hit the perimeter. I want to be fast. You know what I mean? I want to run around and do all that great stuff. 212, it's like in my mind mentally, I'm now like a big back, like Jerome Bettis. Like, I want to go between the A gap and B gap, knowing I don't have any business in there, you know? And I always tell, you know, even some of the young people, like, you got to learn how to run in between the tackles and run behind your pad level, because that's where the game is won, right there in the inches. And so at some point you can dance and run around all you want, but eventually you got to go in there. And I'm glad that I spent my first 4 years in Baltimore. That offense was known as 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You had to go in there. And for me, I did it for 4 years against one of the best, arguably one of the best or top best defensives, led by Ray Lewis. And he anchored that defense. And I always say Ray had the secondary DBs that are like 185, 175. He had those guys mentally in a space where they thought that they were like linebackers, you know, and they played aggressive and they came up and hit. And so I can say that I enjoyed my time, and it really taught me a lot.
Okay.
You know?
All right. But before we close that chapter, what did you say to your quarter? Who was your quarterback? Who threw this duck ball to you? Who floated this thing to you? Do you remember who threw that pass? And did you have anything to say when you went back to the huddle? You're like, don't ever.
I honestly can't remember who actually threw that ball.
Okay, we'll go back. We'll go back.
But I had that eye conversation and looked at him and I'm like, don't ever do that again. Like, I'm not going to catch it, and that's going to be an interception. That's going to be on you. Like, I'm not jumping up and catching that ball. But at the end of the day, I'm that type of player where I know that if I got to take one for the team, you know, I'm going to take it.
You're going to do it.
I'm going to take it.
Well, hopefully our team here didn't do you dirty and didn't pull up like a still shot of you getting rocked.
They're in there. They're in there.
It might be on screen. It might be on screen right here.
It might be on there.
It might be on screen up here. I don't know. Maybe it's covering your entire body right now. We'll see what they decide to do. But
That's right.
all right. Well, that kind of takes us into what I wanted to get into, or some hot takes, and that was my first one. But we got into that. Like, who was your kryptonite? Okay. But let's have a little fun here. If you could go anywhere on the NFL timeline, the existence of the league, outside of your timeline of your playing career, is there one backfield you'd love to hop into just for one game? Maybe it's a quarterback you want to take the ball from. Maybe it's a team you'd want to just dip in there for 1 second, see what it's like. Is there where on the timeline would you want to go? Would you go classic, old school, like Bart Starr?
I would always start classic. Yeah.
Okay.
I would start classic, old school. I'm originally from Fort Smith, Arkansas. Grew up in then military wise, went to San Antonio, Texas. Got to Texas, didn't know too much about Texas. Only knew that the Oilers were on TV and the Cowboys were on TV. For me, Earl Campbell, I said I don't look anything like him. My legs aren't his size. I don't run like that. I'm not a big back, as they say. And then it was the Dallas Cowboys and, of course, Tony Dorsett. So if I'd go back in time, I think I'd put a star on my helmet.
Okay.
And I think I would place myself on that 99-yard touchdown run that Tony Dorsett ran.
Sure.
From in the end zone.
In the
right?
end zone,
to
right.
the other end zone. I'd put myself there and probably do that. I grew up a Cowboys fan.
Okay.
By default, because I was like, I don't look like Earl Campbell. So yeah, I look more like
You didn't
Tony
want to be
Dorsett.
the guy running down the field getting his jersey torn off him and he's still going.
I like that part,
Yeah.
but it just,
One of
I'm
the
like,
best
I
highlights
don't
ever.
run that way.
Yeah,
And I'm not a bulldog running back to where, like Marshawn Lynch said
Yeah.
that. We had a
Marshawn.
conversation on his
Derrick Henry's
podcast.
like that too.
Derrick Henry as well. These guys have that ability to run behind their pads. You know what? There's one back,
Okay.
and I love to interview him too.
I can see your wheels turning here. So what we got?
So Tennessee Titans, 6'5", went to Ohio State.
Okay. I
Think
know where
you
you're
know
going
where
with
I'm going
this.
with that.
Yep.
Help
Two
me-
first names.
Eddie.
Two
George, I like
There we
that.
go.
Boy.
There we
I
go.
like that. All right.
Yes.
See, Mark, that's what I like you as a co-host, man, because
Okay.
there's something about your background. I know artistically you've got a background in drumming as a drummer. I don't know, man. Me trying to sing when I was young, you playing the drums. Look, we got some chemistry here.
Okay,
going
this is
on.
good. We're starting a bit. We just started a
Yeah,
band,
so-
everyone. It's called the Home Stretch. I don't know what episode we're on. But
That's right. So going back to Eddie George, he was a back that I can say that I've seen a guy 6'5" get shrunken down to a guy that's under 5 feet.
Yeah, because that's a disadvantage being tall, right? You want to be smaller so the defense can't see over that
Yes.
line.
And I
That's a
saw
big
that
deal.
in our run for the Super Bowl 35 behind that Ravens defense that was anchored by Ray Lewis. And if you go back to that playoff game and how they manhandled a 6'5", 235 muscular built Heisman Trophy winner, and just leveled him to where it didn't matter the size. So that goes back to my story about when people say you're not big enough, not strong enough, not fast enough. I've seen a man 6'5" dropped to where it didn't matter how big he was. There was nothing he could do on the football field with guys that just wanted to just pepper him with a helmet. And then you take a guy like myself that's undersized, doesn't look like, from some people's opinion, a NFL running back.
We'll name names later.
Yeah, we'll
There
drop
might be
those
some
names
on
later.
screen right now.
We'll drop them. And I think also you probably can figure that out. But I've seen it, and so that's why I think going back to just my attributes, characteristics, how I developed as a running back. I think all of those different ingredients, man, you put them in a pot of gumbo, and you stir that bad boy up, man.
Okay.
And you get a running back out of Texas, man. Some part of grown in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. But I think I was just bred in being a running back is something that I just knew how to do. Some people say it's either on you or it's in you, so it's just in me, growing up.
All right. Let me ask you this question. You kind of tease this a little bit, but what ultimately is more satisfying as a running back?
Let's see.
Breaking a tackle or making someone miss?
Well, I told you what my ingredient was, my
Yes.
secret weapon, right?
You're just making people miss.
Having the ability to make people miss. Breaking a tackle?
Yeah, which of the two is more satisfying?
And what was the other one?
In game, breaking a tackle
Okay.
or making people miss? Because does it feel more satisfying to run through someone or over somebody, or does it feel more satisfying to make them a highlight where they break their ankles and you're off to the races in a different direction?
The type of running back and the type of running backs that I grew up around, breaking a tackle, not making somebody miss, but breaking that tackle,
Knocking them over.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the secret sauce that you want,
Okay.
as a running back. So if you have that in you, you're going to be a different type of running back. Your approach to the game is going to be very different. Although I had the ability to make people miss, what's in me as a Texas running back is breaking tackles. Breaking tackles.
Is there one broken tackle that comes to mind first? Maybe somebody had tackled you 2 or 3 times in a game, and you're like, I'm gonna get through this guy eventually.
It is, but I'm gonna come back to that. And
Okay.
here's the reason why. Because what comes before that is I was able to build my game after seeing guys that were put before me that didn't like to get hit. So I saw more guys that were running backs that preferred to outrun and not face the competition. Jay Graham from Tennessee. He was the drafted back in 1997 for the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
3rd round back out of Tennessee. Jay Graham, when he was a runner at Tennessee, he was / running back / track. I believe his sister was actually ran in the Olympics as well and got a medal. But for Jay, I learned that when he was taken, obviously, as our drafted running back in 1997 for the Ravens, I watched him, study him. I said, oh, man, this guy don't like contact. Now, of course, I'm speaking for him. He could probably speak for himself. But also Jamal Charles, one of the guys that had broken my record, shows that he's very productive as a back. One of his specialties is that if you give him an inch and he can get to the perimeter, he's going to take it 60 yards, no problem. And when I talked to Jamal, he said the thing that how he approached the game was, I'd rather see how fast I could score a 50, 60, or 70-yard touchdown, because that meant less hits. That meant I'm getting a touchdown faster, and now I'm getting off the field. And I said, wow, that's a unique way to look at it. As a running back from Texas, I never looked at the running back position that way. I looked at it as contact first.
Right.
Like, you're going to build your game off of running through these jokers. And so for me, again, I go back to the Ravens defense. It was the ability for me to learn to where when I was going up, I was the blocking dummy pretty much, to where I can go out on the field, practice all day, get hit 1,000 times by the defense, and none of those guys will get in trouble or get lectured. You know what I mean? It was like, Priest, that's your job. Run in there and just let Ray just jump on you,
Yeah, it's not a fun game. It's not a fun game.
Yeah, not a fun game. So I came in the game a different way to where I didn't have that luxury of just not getting hit. I came in the game to be hit. That's how I was going to get my start. That's how I was going to prove myself. A camp, or 4 weeks into camp, 4 to 6 weeks into camp back in 1997, where you're actually doing 2-a-days. Like that 2-a-day doesn't exist no more.
Yeah,
Not that kind of 2-a-day.
2 days are gone, man.
Those 2-a-days are gone. So that's the kind of back that I was. And so early on, I was having to go through that defense and get hit and punished and bleeding and scraped and punched. And there was nothing you could do to react, right? As a undrafted free agent, the first person you try to swing on, they're sending you home, So it was one of those things that it taught me a lot of patience, And I think cleaning those baseboards goes back to that discipline, is the way I could sit in there and take all that punishment my first year in 1997 against the what we know is arguably one of the top defenses.
Well, I got some bad news for you, Priest Holmes.
What we got? Wait, I didn't even answer your question, but we'll go back to it.
You will, but I hate to tell you this, but moving forward, we're going to be cleaning baseboards before every episode.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you cool with that?
We're going to
Studio
incorporate
guys,
that.
do you have any baseboards we can clean? We can clean.
Look, I'm eyeing them right now, and I'm checking. I've checked the baseboards since I've been in here, and I'm just like, man,
I was going to say, is that where your eye goes?
I've checked a couple of times.
Okay.
We had that
you don't
question
look people
about
in the eye. You look straight down.
Because you asked me earlier, when we was off the camera, you were just like, what are some of the quirks? I think you called it something else. What are some of the things?
Oh, like
that
I have
OCD.
OCD.
Yes.
So yeah, there's little things I do.
Yeah,
I
so-
try to keep them off camera, but
so
they're there.
rearranging helmets.
yeah, my stuff's in order over there. It's all squared up.
That's right.
It's off to the side.
Yeah. So some of that, but baseboards, it taught me a lot, and it taught me some discipline. Character was built off of that as well, and I knew all the other kids probably weren't doing that. So it was just that added endeavor of like, whenever I would be in the weight room and I had to hit that extra rep, I knew I could. Why?
Right.
Because I had
Baseboards.
freaking clean baseboards.
I would not want to go real estate shopping with you. Like you just walk in and you're just, this house doesn't have good baseboards.
Now they have the baseboards now where they're shaved and they come at an angle,
yeah,
so
they
there's
are.
less dust that
Super
lands on
fancy.
them.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because someone got smart and they said, you know what? You know,
I think they
you
knew
work
my
smarter,
dad.
not harder.
Yeah, they knew
right?
Herman Morris. You know, that's what it was. Yeah, so he's Army, did over 30 plus years in the Army.
That's awesome.
Went to Iraq as well. Volunteered to go to Iraq in 2003,
Wow,
2004, 2002, 2003. Volunteered, him and a group of other guys that was in his unit. They're older, have no business volunteering to go, but they want to serve their country. And so it was very tough on my mom, of course, because now husband at home all day and now husband is away for a year. And so he did the first year, his group of guys. And then it was one of those things where, let's say if you have to go for 12 months, right?
Okay.
They allowed them to come home like on the 11th month. That meant they didn't do the full 12. So I think 4 or 5 months later, they called them back in because they didn't fulfill the 12 months. So they allowed them to call them back in. So they went back for a second tour. And, during that time when I was playing for the Chiefs and just setting records and trying to be phenomenal, that's what my dad was facing. And so it was one of those things that I think even in that time, just seeing what he decided to do as volunteering, I think that also kind of collectively, I think also has an impact on my life of the stuff that I do foundation wise with my nonprofit and how I give back to the community. Is all these things have been built in, and you don't realize it over time, but it all adds up collectively and it makes you who you are.
Well, I mean, enough said. And thank you to your father for his service.
Absolutely.
As well. Man, to volunteer to go back, that's crazy. All right, Priest, we're going to interrupt ourselves, if that's cool. Let's just do that. I know we're in the middle of doing our thing, but now we're doing another thing, and that's this thing, because we want to celebrate our friends at Bet365. And as you know, and I know, things are never ordinary with Bet365, just like this scenario, right?
Yeah, you got that right, Mark. Man, is glad to be on here and talk some sports. Let's talk about what's going on this week. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's be in the moment a little bit. That's why we're breaking into our own show, so we can be a little bit more in the moment. And this is our Bet365 segment. We're going to talk about your Kansas City Chiefs specifically as they take on the Las Vegas Raiders this weekend on Sunday. Now, the Chiefs, just to build a little context here, the Chiefs have gotten to 500. They're now 3-3. It appears they have turned their season around. And the Raiders, they lost 4 in a row, but they just rebounded with a win of for themselves. But this isn't just any ordinary game, right? This is a divisional game coming out of the AFC West. So let's talk about what it means to play in a divisional game versus just any other game during the regular season, Priest.
Yeah, well, we got to just talk about first how you pull up to a divisional game, Just trying to make it to pregame is an obstacle, you know what I mean? You pulling up to, like, let's just say, you pulling up to the Raiders Stadium and there's fans standing outside. And at one point when I played the game, we had beer cans, beer bottles thrown and bashed at the bus. So it was just getting onto the facility, right? And getting to the stadium was a challenge, So we get out of the stadium, we get into pregame, and there's another obstacle, Mark. They're throwing batteries at us, So the special team coach is telling us, look, before you go outside, you better make sure you keep your helmet on because we can't control what's going to come out the stands, right? So it's an incredible game. And of course, the stadium has changed since those Oakland days, but the way that things are going to go both ways, the momentum is going to swing on both sides at some point during the game. And hopefully, the team that has it swinging their way finally will be the team that's going to win this game.
All right, so The divisional game, that's crazy. I didn't realize you had to wear a hazmat suit just to get in to your warm-ups, but apparently you did. I don't want to say I've partaken in those events, but I've definitely seen them at some of the games because things in Philly, things in Cleveland, they get crazy, right? A lot of snowballs in the wintertime, and, refs make bad calls, fans are passionate, things happen. But I hear you loud and clear on that. Now, let's talk about what's going on with this particular matchup between the Chiefs and the Raiders, because the Chiefs are getting a pretty big piece back. After a 6-game suspension, Rashee Rice will now be lining up in the wide receiver position. And this is a big deal because Mahomes has kind of had to make a mountain out of a molehill, right? And work with what was given him. Travis Kelce, he's closing on your record. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, he's slowing down. He's getting towards the end of his career. And Xavier Worthy was injured for a little bit. And we had to see some other receivers kind of emerge. The Juju Schuster and also Thornton put together some nice games. But Rashee Rice, their key receiver, is back. So let's do some player prop action here with Rashee Rice.
Okay.
Do you think Rashee Rice is going to score a touchdown in his first game back with the Chiefs this season?
That's always a challenge, because it's just getting back in that chemistry, So you have an opportunity to be, suspended for 6 games. So health-wise, you're going to be firing on all cylinders. You're going to probably be running at a different speed than the rest of the team that have already played 6 games. So he's going to have the energy. He's going to have the ability, and we're going to see those flash and those moments during the game, obviously. But getting into that end zone, it can be difficult. It could get sticky. You know what I mean, Mark? It's definitely in the red zone. So it's I don't see him coming out and scoring, but I do see him being impactful in terms of his speed and his ability to go across the field and get down the field as well. And I think that he will open up some really big gaps and make some huge plays, just because he's going to be the freshest guy on the field. He's the one that's going to be like, he's going to be a rabbit out there on the field and ready to catch the ball, jumping up, being excited, bringing the energy. If there's not one thing that if he doesn't score a touchdown, Rashee Rice will be bringing the energy and the excitement to the game, and you'll see it in his tempo.
Okay, so no touchdowns for Rashee Rice. Plus, you got to figure the Raider defense is going to be locked on his return, right? He's the type of player you game plan for, right? So they want to shut him down early and fast. But I'm feeling like he's not only going to get in the end zone once, Priest. I think he's getting in the end zone twice.
Twice. Now, is this going to be okay? Let me ask you this, Mark. Is this outside of the red zone or in the red zone?
Okay, I'm glad you asked, because I think one is going to be inside the red zone. And I think the second one is just going to be a simple, maybe a 10-yard pass from Mahomes and he breaks it. I think Rashee is going to be so excited to be back, and this is his opportunity to return in style. And I think he's doing it with the deuce. I think he's getting 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. Now, that'd be a great way for him to come back after the 6-game suspension. But, at the end of the day, he's going to be excited about being back on the field. I think that Mahomes has definitely showed the ability continuously of how he can get the ball to different receivers. He's going to utilize every guy that's out there with a number on their jersey. He's going to make sure that they get a pass or a catch,
Okay, well, speaking of touchdowns, we don't have to linger on this one too long, but Travis Kelce is but 3 touchdowns away from your all-time.
Wait, is it 3?
I think
is it 3, Mark?
It's 3. Yeah, I think 3 over.
He came pretty close. Look, he came pretty close last week. Did you see he tried to stretch the ball out after he got tackled?
He did. And I saw you, if you pause the camera, I saw your hand go in there and just go, bop.
Yep, just tap it away.
He just tapped away just a little. So he's really close to your record. And, we'll discuss this more as these games go on. But, records are meant to be broken. We know this. But three's not a lot. Do you think he gets there ultimately? Do you think he gets
ultimately,
there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Ultimately, yes. He's definitely going to get there. I would say that within this season, of course, it's going to be an exciting time, of course, for him to, tackle that particular record. Jamal Charles, he tackled the rushing record. And so, like you said, records are meant to be broken. But I'm excited. And hopefully I can be at that particular game when he's able to, take over that particular record,
Yeah. It looks like we got to go to every game from here on out, right? We got to go to all of them.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Do you know how long that record has been on the table? 20 plus?
Let's see.
Let's go over and under for you now.
Yeah, over under 20 years. Well, let's see. You retired. Let's see, 2007. I'm gonna say how many years? 18 years.
I retired in 2007.
2007. So that's like 18 years, right?
18 years.
Wow.
18 years.
Yeah. That's wild, man. Look, that record has stood for a long time and for good reason because it's a tough one to break. But in today's day and age, it's all about longevity, right? So if you can't stay on the field, you can't score touchdowns. So that's just a testament to not only how good you were, but how good you were despite your injuries when you weren't on the field. So, man, props to you. And as much as I'd like to see you hold on to it forever, I too believe Kelce's going to get it, at some point during this season, and hopefully we're both there for that. All right, let's do this for the first time. All right, Priest. I want to start something new with you. Priest's Beast of the Week. All right, go ahead and try to say that 10 times fast. Priest's Beast of the Week, because we've got a great running back matchup in this game between the Chiefs and the Raiders. You've got Jeanty on the Raiders side, who seems to be this breakout superstar for them and basically scoring all their points. And you've got this workhorse Pacheco on the Chiefs side. He's like a human battering ram, right? We've talked about different types of running backs. I feel like Pacheco's that just take people head on, right? So let's break it down a little bit here. Who's going to be Priest's Beast of the Week? Let's start with this category. Of the two backs, who's going to score the first TD of the game between the two?
I actually see Pacheco scoring a touchdown. A little bit untraditional. Instead of running the ball in, I think Pacheco will have a receiving pass.
Okay,
out of
receiving
the backfield.
touchdown.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a receiving touchdown. But Jeanty, will he score? I think he has the ability to score because they're giving him the ball a number of times like a starting running back.
Right.
When you look at Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, it's running back by committee, with them as running backs. Jeanty, of course, if you total up their yards and total up those carries, Jeanty actually has more carries and more yards than the combined Kareem Hunt and Pacheco. But this is going to be an interesting game because the momentum is going to swing. And then when that momentum swings, like I said, that's going to be the team that's going to be able to carry that W, out of the stadium. All
right. So of the two, though, do you think Pacheco's going to score first?
I think Pacheco has the ability to score first.
Okay.
And I think it'll be a pass. Yeah, I think it's going to be a passing. I think it's going to be a receiving touchdown.
In the red zone?
And definitely, yeah. Well, definitely it's going to be on the goal line. I think it's going to be on the goal line within the 5 or 6 yard line.
Okay. All right. So a close touchdown. All right. Of the two, which do you think has, now that Rashee, this is a big factor. Now that Rashee Rice is back, who has the best opportunity to get 2 touchdowns in this game, Pacheco or Jeanty? Because, this could be a low-scoring game. Do we feel like both teams are going to be running the ball more than throwing the ball? If that's the case, of the 2 running backs, who has the better chance to get 2?
Well, Jeanty, of course. He has the better opportunity because of the number of carries that he's been given so far. He has just roughly over 105 carries in 6 games, so he definitely has had more opportunities, to where he's going to get a chance to get across the goal line.
All right, so it's a volume thing. I agree with you on that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and who do you think?
And they work him like a workhorse right now. I mean, he's had over 20 plus carries, 17, 21 carries, and so he had 138 yards a few weeks ago on I think roughly either 17 or 21 carries, and so they're treating him like the starting running back. But it's interesting. With Jeanty being so young, he's only 21 years of age. So there's still that element of he's a younger guy in the league, and then he really hasn't had that ability to get started. I think defenses have done a really great job to keep him from getting up the field immediately, where he's had to do 1 or 2 steps before he can even get to the line of scrimmage, and then finally get uphill. And I think that's kind of worked to his demise, and you can kind of see it in terms of the production. But I think he's definitely going to still have a really good season, and he's going to have a number of carries in order to have a successful campaign.
Okay. All right. So who finishes with more? Let's stick to rushing yards here, not total yards from scrimmage, but who's going to finish with more rushing yards? Jeanty or Pacheco?
Of course, Jeanty. You know, he gets the number of carries. He's going to average anywhere from 17 to 21 carries this game. They're going to have to run the ball. It's going to be tough sledding, of course, against the defense because, if you look at the Chiefs last week, they were playing angry. They were playing mean and takeaway ball, sacks. They had the whole combination going for a successful defense. And what that breeds is a W on the other end. And so I think Mahomes definitely took advantage of it.
And that was against the Lions, mistake you not, right? They were 4-1 at the time. So
wait, Mark, let's go back.
Yes.
You remember 6 weeks before the season started, I talked about the Lions.
You did.
And they were my favorite. They were my pick in the NFC. And they've definitely started off these first 6 games pretty strong.
And that could be a tease of what we see in the Super Bowl, right? Lions-Chiefs. That could have been a nice little tease. All right. So I'm doing some math here. You feel like Jeanty's just going to have so much more volume than Pacheco. So then is Ashton Jeanty your Priest's Beast of the Week?
Oh, man, come on, Mark. Yeah, look, this is the thing. Are we going based on production or just excitement when the person touches the ball? Because Pacheco, when you hand Pacheco the football, he gets you excited. He gets you off the couch. He makes you want to go grab your popcorn because of the way that he runs the ball. Now, again, Jeanty, Ashton has the same ability. He's low to the ground. He has huge lower body strength. He has the ability to break tackles as well. We've seen that here in the last 6 games. But if I'm going for my pick, I can't just go with the guy that just gets you excited when he touches the ball. You got to go with the guy that has the production. So I'm going with Ashton.
All right. So Priest's Beast of the Week is Ashton Jeanty. All right. Let's close this out real quick. Over under at the moment. Watch your screen. Check your screen right now for the current. If you're going to be placing a bet, but 45.5 at the time of this taping is the over under. Where are you going? Where's your head at with this game? Do you see it being a shootout, or do you feel like it's going to be more of a defensive battle?
Always a defensive battle. Between
AFC
these two
West,
teams. Yeah. It's going to be a defensive battle. And the game is just going to swing left and right at least 2 or 3 times, of course. So I'm going under. With that 45.5, I'm going under.
Okay. And are you feeling like a total score? Or is this like a 20-10? Is this a 17-13?
Well, I'm going with 17. I'm going with 17-28.
Okay. 17-28.
Yeah, 17-28.
Okay. So that means Chiefs. And who's winning? Is this a Chiefs game?
Yeah, we're going with the Chiefs. I mean, I think Mahomes is putting it together. We have Rice that's returning. Pacheco's going to be running the ball extremely hard and high kneeing for 5 or 6 yards. I'm telling you, it's going to be exciting to watch this particular game. And so, it's one of those things that all week long, it's been Red Friday is a really big deal in Kansas City when the entire city is behind this game right now. And you know what? It makes for a terrible office day the next week, So it's definitely got to go Chiefs way, after this game this weekend.
Red Kingdom.
There we go.
Let's go. All right. I think we've interrupted ourselves enough on this episode, Priest. So we're going to say bye, but then hello to ourselves. And we want to thank our sponsors, Bet365. Things are never ordinary, Priest, with Bet365. Love it. Well, great way to close out the show. Thank you for those compliments, by the way. If I can get those in writing and you sign it and I'll send it to my mom, I'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you, everybody out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media. We're shooting out nuggets of content all the time. Make sure you check back every Friday for new episodes of The Home Stretch. And I guess our advice we're going to leave them with is putting in the work, right? We got to
put in the work.
Got to put in the work.
That's right.
I think we got a new company.
I like that.
Emerging here. All right, Priest, it's always a pleasure, man. And shout out to Bet365 too as well. And we'll see you on the next one.
This has been a Playmaker production.